name's Neville Lake, and welcome to this, the first of 5 videos that go with the 3rd edition of the Strategic Planning Workbook. In this video, we're going to be thinking like a strategist. I'm going to give you 4 big questions. But before we get to that, let me give you a good and practical definition about what strategy is all about. There are 4 components to strategy. The first of these is gaining insights about where you are now. The second is gathering information to show where you should be. The third is generating ideas so that you can occupy a unique position. And the fourth is defining actions so that you can bridge the gap between your current situation and the situation that you want to be in the future. Now, when you're thinking about strategy, never forget that strategy is a choice. I've worked with all kinds of organisations who've made different choices, and each one of those has delivered them to the point that they want to get to. But you have to be clear about what that point is. You can choose to be twice as big as you are in 4 years' time, or 4 times as big as you are in 2 years' time. In either case, those choices are perfectly valid, but you need to make sure that you've put the steps in place to get there. And that's the other thing that you need to make sure that you do extremely successfully, which is to make your choice in the presence of really great data. And we're going to, in these videos and in the book, find a way to challenge yourselves to capture that really good data. Okay, so now let me give you the 4 big questions. The first of these is, what business are we in? That might seem like a fairly straightforward question, but it can be deceptively difficult to answer. We sometimes think we know what the business is about and what we should be doing, but if you create with a group of executives, for example, a clear and crisp statement about what your business is all about, and then you list down everything that you actually do, the chances are there'll be a number of outlying activities that you're engaged in, which are using up resources, which you're perhaps even putting in your brochures, which aren't really about what your core business is there to do in the first place. So let's be clear about what business you're in at the moment. Don't spend too much time on this because you may well change this, but just be clear about what your starting point looks like. The second part of what business are we in is thinking about what business should we be in. So this is a much more interesting question because it now starts to open up some pictures about what you could be doing if you weren't doing what you were now. And a great way to think about this is to picture the circle of opportunity. Now, the circle of opportunity is everything that you could be doing with the capability that your business has, with the contacts that it has, with the resources that it has, with the people that you can employ, either currently within your business or bring in from outside, that fit broadly with what your business is doing. So that's your circle of opportunity. It is everywhere you could possibly make money. It is all the products that you could possibly make. It's all the customers that you could possibly service. Now, you don't want to do everything in there because some things are going to be able to yield a good profit and will take you comfortably into the future, and other things will only give you a small profit and will distract you on your strategic journey. So having drawn your circle of opportunity, then think about your place within it and draw that as a triangle, as a wedge going into the side of that circle. So, in the front part of the wedges, you need to think about which are the products and which are the customers which will yield the greatest outcome for us, the best result, the highest margin, the easiest pathway to profit. Also, have a think about your organisation. What are you best set up to do right now and into the short-term future? That gives you a bit of a sense as to the business that you ought to be in. So, think about those 2 parts of what business are we in. What business are you in currently? What business should you be in using your current competencies and your current capabilities within your business? Okay, now we've got a bit of a picture about what business you should be in. Let's move on and think about the second question. What's possible for this business? When we think about this question, there are 4 main options. The first of those options is to consider whether or not you want to stay much the same as you are now, but get better. So if you have a niche part of the market that you own, you don't want to get particularly large, but you want to make more and more profit and continually improve your margin, you might think about how do we do what we're doing now, but get better at doing it. second choice is stay much the same but get bigger. So if you have one store, you might say let's have 2, 3, 4, 5 or 100 stores. So we're going to be much the same, we're going to replicate what we're doing, but we're just going to do a lot more of it and do it in other places and so on and so forth. So you might stay the same but get bigger. Third choice is to stay the same but start to add on some different pieces. So let's do stuff that we're not doing now. Let's consider markets that we haven't got. Let's create products that we haven't got. Let's go somewhere else using the strength that we have within our current business, using the contacts that we have, using the capabilities that we have. Let's find another thing that we can do which will extend this into a completely different set of markets and introduce us to a new set of customers. So staying the same but adding a new piece on, being a bit different, is your third choice. And your fourth choice is a bit more radical, because in this case you're saying where we are now probably isn't working for us and isn't likely to work for us in the future. So let's not stay the same, let's start to become substantially different from where we are now. And that's a more ruthless kind of analysis, and that's a more rugged path. But if you're in the wrong spot, that's the only choice that you have available. So 4 main choices that you have to make. Stay the same but get better, stay the same but get bigger, stay mostly the same but start to add some new pieces to your business, or substantially reinvent your business. That's the second of the 2 questions. Now let's think about the third question. The third question then is, what is our uniqueness? And that's a very difficult question to answer. Many organisations I go to, I challenge them with that question, and they trot out a basic set of attributes which belong to all the players in the industry, or they offer something which may be interesting and exciting to them but which the customer has no interest in. And if you don't have a proper uniqueness, if you don't have your own unique selling proposition in the marketplace, then you're simply not going to be as successful as you should be. You're not going to capture your customer's imagination. You're not going to be able to sustain your business successfully into the future. So what is the uniqueness that your business has? What is it that you do that nobody else does? What is it that guarantees that customers are going to come to you because you're the only organisation available that will offer them that particular feature and set of benefits? Difficult question. One way to think about it is to imagine that you have a big billboard that's sitting by a large freeway, and a lot of customers are going to drive past it, and you have just one line to put in the billboard, in the middle of the billboard, and that one line is going to crisply capture what it is that makes your business different from every other business in your same industry. What are you going to say on that billboard? Think about that. Ask a lot of people that question. Offer it to your customers and say, is this our uniqueness from your point of view? Is this what gets you excited? Is this what makes us special in the marketplace? Really interesting question to ask. Ask it not only of your current business that you described in your circle of opportunity, but ask it of the possible businesses that you could go into when you're thinking about those 4 choices. What possible uniqueness could you have if you were doing something different? If you were better, what would uniqueness look like? Could you, if you were bigger, create a different uniqueness? If you were to become different, would that make a different way to describe your uniqueness? Get that clear in your head, and you're starting to build a really strong foundation for a good future. Interesting question. What is our uniqueness? Now let's think about the 4th question, which is what's important to our success? What is important to our success? Really interesting question. It's probably just on the border between a strategic question and a tactical question, but you need to get that clear in your head before you start to build foundations for a strategy in the future. And the way to do that is to take the end result. This is the profit that we're going to make. This is what we're trying to achieve. Or if you're not a not-for-profit organisation, this is the outcome that we're trying to achieve for somebody else. And you need to think one step back. What are the big drivers of that profit? Is it something around customer satisfaction? Is it something around logistics? Is it something around management of plant and equipment? Is it something around manufacturing? What is it? What are the 4 or 5 big drivers that deliver success? And then when you've done that, go back one step further and say, what are the sub-drivers that deliver those drivers? And you start to build a bit of a profit tree growing out. And then you need to look at those things and say, do we really understand these properly? Do we have a very clear idea about what is creating success for us now? Because if there are parts of your business which are being unsuccessful but are doing so in a way which is hidden, then you don't want to build your strategic foundations upon those, because then your strategic house is likely to crumble. So think about those 4 questions then, the 4 big strategic questions. What business are we in? And that includes what business are we in currently, and what's possible by thinking about the circle of opportunity for this business to make sure it performs as well as it could and should at the moment. Then thinking about what's possible for this business. Which of the 4 choices is the right choice for this business? Let's start to consider that. What's our uniqueness? How do we make sure that we own a piece of the marketplace, that we have the right to have customers come to us because we're the only organisation that actually provides a certain level of service or a certain product that they want? And then what's important to our success? How do we make sure that we understand what's delivering success now so we can carry those components into the future? Think about those questions, ponder them, because now we're beginning to think like strategists, or now you're beginning to see where value resides in your business, and you're starting to think about possibilities, not just short-term possibilities, but possibilities going out into the future. When you're ready, then do come and join me on video number 2, and we're going to start to take a strategic journey together.